Okay, and welcome to Blender for Photographers. What I want to do in this video is really walk you through a project, a rendered, what will eventually be a rendered scene that could form the backdrop to some photographic compositing or something like that. So this isn't a tutorial in how to make something like this, but it's just showing you what is possible and the basic steps you go through. Just to let you know, I've only been using Blender about 6 weeks. This took me about an hour to create. So let's have a look at what the finished view looks like. So we're just going into rendered mode, which shows basically what the final image will look like, and then I'll talk you through some steps. Okay, so I paused the video there, and as you can see, what we've got is a nighttime scene of a road with a couple of street lamps, brick walls, pebbly road, and pavements with curb edges. So we'll go back to solid mode, and we can see that this is all just made up of blocks. Okay, this big box round the outside, that's just what's making it look foggy. Don't worry about that for now. But we can see that the whole scene is just made up of smooth blocks that I've then textured, so put images on, which is what textured means, and then I've put light sources in and positioned my camera in such a way as we're looking down the road. Now, why would we want to do this? This doesn't look particularly photorealistic, and that's down to the amount of time that I've taken to do this. I will at the end show you a final render, a much higher quality. The last render that I showed you was much lower quality. So imagine you've got a vision for a photograph and you need a particular look under particular weather conditions, under particular lighting conditions. That can be quite hard to find. Now, plenty of people do it. But maybe if what you're looking to do is create a piece of art rather than a realistic photograph, this can offer an alternative, because you can create your scene, taking a lot longer than an hour, admittedly, to create a photorealistic backdrop that you can then composite other images into. So creating your scene in Blender and then moving on. So I'm going to set this rendering now. I'll pause the video again. I'm going to set it to a much higher resolution. I'm going to set it to 1000 and I'll stop the video. Don't worry what these numbers mean. For the moment, it's just improving the quality. And I will go render image. And it's starting to render the image, and I'll come back when it's done. And welcome back. So our image has finished rendering, and while it's not photorealistic in terms of the geometry that I've created, you can imagine how taking a little bit longer with the textures and the creation of the geometry, so making the street lamps actually look like street lamps, making the curb edges a little bit more detailed. You very rarely get perfectly straight edges in things. Maybe putting a few weeds and things in the sides. You can see how maybe you could quite easily turn this into a photorealistic scene that you might then composite some other imagery into and use this as a background. Obviously, we're just disappearing off into space here, and you would think about what was going to go on behind here, maybe having some buildings in or some trees or something that fills some of this space in here, because obviously we just drop off the end of the world there. But again, this was just a quick demo to show you how easy it is to incorporate Blender into a photographic workflow. So as promised, I'm going to show you some photorealistic images that have been created in Blender and that show what can be achieved given a little bit of time and effort. Beautiful scenery, that one absolutely amazes me. I love that one, the intricate detail of the grass, each blade of grass. The eggs and the depth of field is something else that you can play with in Blender. Choose which parts of the image are in focus. Nice woodland scene. And some fruit on a wooden table. So there you can see the potential for working in Blender, what you can achieve given a little effort and time, and I hope that's whet your appetite and maybe giving you a desire to learn this new technique that you could put into your photographic workflow. Thank you very much for listening, and goodbye.